Hello, listeners, and welcome to another week on Chasm Converses. My guest this week is OMRA, a singer-songwriter from Brisbane, Australia. She has just released her newest single, Weightless, an atmospheric flow of beauty and connection that just immerses you in the world that she has created. Be sure to add this song to your playlists. She tells me about the song and the intricacies that went into creating it, as well as the story behind it that includes feeling like an astronaut on a different planet. She also sheds light on her previous single, Plastic Paradise, and the fun that she and everyone else involved had in creating the song and formulating the music video. And as a former film student, she thrives in that environment and it absolutely shows. So join us for the conversation and let's get conversing. Chasm Converses. OMRA, welcome to Chasm Converses.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
It's so cool to have you here today. Whereabouts are you joining me from today?
I'm joining you from the Gold Coast, but I live in Brisbane.
Oh, sweet. Awesome. What's brings you up to the Gold Coast?
I actually grew up here and my family still live here. So I just come down on the weekend sometimes and chill out by the beach, even though it's raining right now.
Is it really? Oh, no way.
Yeah.
Oh, that's rough. That's really rough.
Yeah.
It's like, it's kind of sunny down here. I'd expect, by the way, from the Gold Coast at this time of the year, but even so, I haven't been there for a very long time since I was like real small. So like, man, that's so cool. I love the fact that you're up there and hanging out with the parents and that sort of stuff. Do you still really enjoy going up there and do you like it more compared to Brisbane, or do you prefer living in Brisbane?
I prefer the scenery and the landscape of the Gold Coast probably more, I've got to say, but Brisbane definitely is more of a creative hub, and more of my people, I kind of like my tribe is in Brisbane, I guess you could say. Yeah.
Sweet. That's so cool. I love that you're in your parents' house now, right?
Yeah, my mum's house, yeah.
Wow, that's so cool. Did you grow up in that house?
No, oh my God, I've lived in like 13 different houses, maybe 14.
Oh, wow, really? Damn.
Kind of lost count around the age of like 16, 17, yeah.
Gee whiz.
So this is just one of them.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
wonderful. Yeah, no, because the first question I was going to ask you was like how did you get your start in music? Like, was it through, just like inspirations of hearing songs when you were younger or like influences through your parents, that sort of thing? Like, I know, was the house was that like were you in like a certain room when you heard a certain song, you're like, oh yeah, I want to do that sort of thing? Like, how did you get your start in it?
So yeah, my parents both really have like great taste in music and played such a variety of stuff, like all the way back from the 70s to current pop. So as a kid, I grew up listening to all of that, like just a big amalgamation of everything. And I'm also an only child, so I think I just had a lot of time to myself to just like dig through stuff, listen to stuff. And I've always loved singing ever since I was like 3, even though it wasn't very good. So we weren't necessarily, it wasn't a household of musicians, just music appreciators and like mad enthusiasts. But my dad can play piano and he's really, really good. So
sweet, okay.
Yeah. So he can kind of play like whatever he hears, which is awesome. And he got me into it when I was probably like 9, and we had on and off lessons, but it wasn't consistent. So I kind of had to reteach myself like later in life. But I learned enough to just kind of put basic chord structures together and just write like random stuff, because I started writing poems and then they turned into songs, and then it kind of, happens. And then I was one of those kids who tried to put bands together every few weeks with the girls from school, and it never quite worked out. I remember I asked I heard that my friend's dad had a book on agents. So I was like, sweet, can you give it to us so that we can get an agent? And he gave us a book on like real estate agency. And I was like, I don't know. I don't know about this.
That's brilliant. I love that.
Yeah.
No, that's awesome. I love the fact, especially when it comes to like, writing poetry first and then turning into songs, because in a way, songs are almost like poetry itself. It's just like the instrument sort of like, I guess, just sort of facilitate it a bit more into a song. But no, that's great. I mean, I always sort of appreciated whenever we did poetry like at school and that sort of thing, we read it and all that kind of stuff. I can't remember it off by heart now, sadly, but I always thought it was so close to music, and that's what it came to, like when it comes to lyric writing, all that kind of stuff. And you can agree yourself as a songwriter that it's such a fun and such a what's the word I'm trying
outlet.
Yeah, literally. Good. Yes. It's a great outlet. And like, it's such a great thought process to go through when you are constructing lyrics and writing sort of songs and stuff that obviously you feel quite strongly about, I'm quite passionate about as well. And so it's
Mm.
fantastic that you had such really cool, like, musical appreciation or influences throughout your whole kind of like, your family growing up and all that kind of stuff. And even like playing piano, that's fantastic. I didn't play a lot of piano when I grew up. I only now can do like, basic chord structures and sort of, put it together to make a little
Yeah.
bit of a song. But, I have a few people like, I can call to be like, hey, can you help me out and see if this is actually any good or if I'm just like, hitting the wrong notes or whatever it is. But like, it's fantastic that you were able to do that. And especially like, trying to create bands and stuff. Did you find yourself like in bands as you sort of like got out of school and became sort of more, I guess, intuitive as a musician, or were you always more of a solo artist yourself?
I would say more of a solo artist. I was never in band or anything at school, never even studied
Mm.
music at school. I was very shy about it
Mm.
until recent years. Like I couldn't even sing in front of my mum kind of thing.
Oh, okay.
And would really struggle. Yeah. Funnily enough, it's like always the people that are more important to you, I think, that are like the hardest to perform in front of. But
Yeah,
yeah,
true.
no, always more of a solo artist. I always wanted to be in a band.
Mm.
And I did for my first set of performances at Woodford. I was in a band then, and that
Hmm.
was a really interesting environment because I had to for the first time, like direct a band and having
Oh,
never been in one and
yeah.
try and, work on some stuff from scratch and like listen to the different parts in my head and try and put an instrument to them. And that's really tricky to do when you haven't got that like musical theory background. Like if you're trying to hear
Yeah.
into empty space what a bass line would be or what a like drum rhythm would be or something, it's like kind of almost impossible. You're like looking for colors that you've never seen. Um,
Yeah. It's really a
but
deep end
yeah,
experience.
yeah, totally. So that's, I guess, when like your influences and what you listen to comes through a little bit more.
No,
But yeah.
100%. No, that's
Mm.
fantastic. And like as I think I may have mentioned before or not, you've just released a brand new song called Weightless, which is a
Yeah.
fantastic track. And I've gone through obviously all your discography because obviously I like to research my guests before I have them on. And you have such a beautiful, smooth, sort of flowing atmospheric touch to all of your songs, which I really appreciate because I sort of write songs in a similar way myself too. Well, I'm starting to anyway.
Mm.
And it is that real kind of just nice, flowing, easy listening sort of stuff. But there is like a real touch of emotion behind it, I think, especially in Weightless, because I don't know, you just captured the atmosphere so well. When I look at the artwork, I see like, a person sort of drowning or falling through the water. And then I listen to the song, it's like I can kind of see that person falling through the water. Like I'm always like immersed in the world that you've sort of painted for me. And I think a lot of
Cool.
other people might feel that exact same way too.
Awesome. That's really cool. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to making a music video for it because that cover art, which I shot at my work at JMC Academy in the studio, like after
Oh,
hours,
right. Yeah.
with my team who just whipped it up. It's crazy.
Mhm.
But yeah, I'm looking forward to exploring a bit more of those themes in the music video, like the falling stuff. And depending on what kind of equipment and locations we can get our hands on, it's going to be that kind of spacey feel that's very like symbolic, and joined to the meaning of the lyrics and stuff like that. Yeah. Um, but yeah, I think I'm very inspired by cinematic music because I also my
Mm.
other background is like film. So
Ah,
when I
cool.
write music and stuff, I see like images in my head and that
Mm.
kind of helps. So I have like a whole playlist just for cinematic songs that I would put in a film one day
Yeah, right.
if and when I make one. So yeah, I think that like big spacey sound and like the gradual build and very emotional is something that's kind of like a staple now, I would say, in my style.
Fantastic. Are you like a film student, or is it more so that you're just sort of interested as like a topic?
I was a film student. I studied
Ah,
film at uni, and graduated in like 2019. And now I work as a film lecturer, actually,
oh
funnily enough,
wow,
and
incredible.
made a few short films and stuff and made my last music video. So yeah, try and like freelance a little bit when I'm
Wow,
not
that's so
fully
cool.
focused on music. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. It's always so great when like, you can sort of you can see what a musician does outside of what a creative person does outside of their creations. And it's like, especially for a lecturer, that so much would come into doing that job and like teaching people, that kind of stuff. And then as well as that, create your own art outside of that. And obviously like, create your own world with your own songs. It's so good because I mean, so many people, especially ones who like teach and lecture and that sort of stuff, like I feel like it's bombarded by so much that they would do that they just want to go home and just relax and just like
Mhm.
they probably have things to like mark or things to sort of like organize for the next thing. And it's like it's awesome that you decide that you're gonna, do some more singer-songwriter stuff and release songs and music for people to go and listen to. It's great. It's fantastic.
That's cool. Yeah, I think like I always need to be creating something, and
Mm,
I always have wanted to create films, and but feature films or even short films take so much time and so much work. But for
mm.
me, because I love writing and that's like my niche, my specialty, um, I just like write stuff as like a quick outlet, but then it turns into a song. So I've like kind of accidentally like written a song where I haven't had time to write like a story or a film or
Yeah.
something, you know? So
Oh man.
that's been I've been really fortunate to have that, yeah, outlet. Mm.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I'd love to know because I think you said before that the cinematic vibe influences your music and stuff. Is there any other sort of outlet that influences the style that you have, like that real kind of atmospheric, dark, emotional sort of style that you have? Is there anything else that sort of plays into that, or is it mainly just a cinematic view, I think that you said?
I'd say I'm quite like a spiritual person, and
Okay.
I have like a very strong connection to the effect that music has on our energetic fields and
Mm.
how it can like really raise your vibration. But
Mm.
you've got to and even like from, like EDM, playing around in that genre with people's heartbeat and how it can like really control a crowd. I just
Wow,
find that stuff
okay.
so fascinating, so cool, how you can really like get into someone's emotions with a song and with tempo and vibration and like
Wow.
sound waves and stuff. So I think like, yeah, I just try and be as authentic as I can in crafting like a journey that really sucks people in
Mm.
emotionally and energetically so that they can have some kind of realization or release or whatever it is that they get out of the song. And it's different for everyone, obviously. But
Mm.
I think, yeah, I just stick to what feels right for me and hope that someone else out there can maybe relate or just appreciate it on some level.
Oh, for sure, absolutely. Especially if you're like studying, that's fascinating. Studying like the BPM of people's heart rates to see how it reacts to like musical genres and like certain spots in like articulation and stuff. Like, oh, that's awesome. I love that. I didn't even know that was like a thing that you could even do. But the fact that you studied that, that must be such a good blueprint for you to use when you are doing your own songs because it's like you can almost like pull those heartstrings of the people that you're doing the songs for and try and get that emotion sort of out of them by what you put into to the music yourself.
Well, to be honest, like I haven't really studied it formally or anything. I just have like looked into it briefly
Mm.
and come across it a lot. But it kind of I feel like it's the other way around where it like I kind of just write something and then I realize the effect of it in the aftermath and I'm like, wow, that's really
Oh.
cool. I don't like try and deliberately like manipulate it to do
No.
certain things. Like, not that that's what you're saying, but yeah,
Of
like
course.
I think it's just like it's an interesting journey of self-discovery as much as it is trying to craft something to have a certain effect on other people.
Yeah,
Yeah.
of course. That sounds awesome. Yeah, I'm very much excited to see what you do with the music video for this one as well, because like as I said, like
Yeah.
there's so much that is in the song. So I feel like there's so much wiggle room for what you could do with it. I do love the video that you did for one of your other songs, Plastic Paradise. That was just incredible. That was
Thank you.
just again when we go back to like, you sort of painting and constructing a world for people to go into after like over an image and that sort of thing you in that like wow everything in that scene and everything in like the entire video just like fit so well into it that it was almost like stepping into a brand new world and it was awesome. What was your sort of thoughts sort of going into that song and writing that song and even like doing the music video for it was that sort of the Barbie sort of thing always the idea that you were going to try and you're going to try and go with?
Yeah. Oh, that song was so fun. Like everything about writing the song, releasing it, the music video, it was just such a vibe. Yeah, so that story I guess was inspired by a superficial kind of experience that I had at a party on the Gold Coast where I went to with some old high school friends and
Hmm.
just feeling like there was a very material atmosphere here and no one was quite being authentic or like meeting each other eye to eye on a real level.
Okay.
And so it became this metaphor of like everything around you, like this plastic paradise pointing to
Mm.
what's fake and what's ingenuous. And so I think it kind of like allowed me to then really lean into creating a world where that's super obvious because there's not
Yeah.
hiding in the song. The lyrics are pretty transparent and it's
Yes, of course.
about an anecdote of like going to a party and stuff. So luckily we have a green screen. And so I was like, cool, or like fake world done, let's do it. So my colleagues and I like crafted this I guess, reality. And you can actually see in the music video, there's the Gold Coast skyline. It's so subtle, but there's a Gold
Oh,
Coast skyline
really?
in the back in like the opening
Oh, I must have
shot.
missed that.
Yeah.
Damn, that's like
So it's like set in like a backyard party and stuff. But there's so many little things, like if you look really closely, you're like, huh, interesting.
hell yeah, I have to go
Um,
back and have a look at that.
yeah. But yeah, so that song was like, I guess the first one where I really got to step into a character, and particularly this Dia character that I created, which she was like the platform for the second verse, and that was all told in her perspective. And she's trying to be a girl's girl, but she's like not.
Yeah,
Basically,
right,
she's
okay.
failing miserably because she's too focused on herself.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was really fun to like craft an image around that, and go like full Barbie mode kind of thing. But it's not meant to be a song about tearing people down. It's meant to be empowering. So I just hope people get that out of it.
They see
And
it from that aspect, not from the other aspects that you don't
yes,
want them to see it from,
yeah,
obviously. Yeah, no, that's no, as I
yeah.
said, it looks so just, yeah, incredibly authentic, and it just looks like the point you're trying to get across is obvious, is, as you say, so very obvious. But yeah, it just looked like such a fun time for everyone who was involved, that were making it. And as I said, the song was just, there's so many good parts in it. There's like little rappy bits in it as well. I was like, wow, this is insane. This is awesome. And how did you feel like having like, and like even like dressing up and all the stuff? Like, it looked so like extravagant in a way as well.
It was so hilarious because, like, again, I shot it at work with people I work with, and I'm like,
Yeah.
guys, I'm so sorry, but I'm just gonna casually get in a one suit and straddle a unicorn right now. Like, don't see me differently, please. But no, it was really fun. It was like a hectic 2 day shoot. And it was a lot of it was kind of improvised. Like, it never works out, I guess, the way that you fully plan it. And we had like a very small budget that we worked with, and everyone did an incredible job, from like
Mm.
production design to editing to direction and camera work. So we just kind of, I think, had a clear image of what we wanted to go for, and we just kind of did stuff and then just saw what we had in the end.
Yeah, right.
And it worked. So that was yeah, there's always a bit of magic in filmmaking. Like,
Mm.
things can go wrong, but if everyone's on the same page, hopefully it'll work out.
Yeah, no, for
Mm.
sure. Well, not a degree, but I did like 2.5 years of a degree at the Flinders University in film, or like film focus, film study. It was like a Bachelor of Media. I didn't finish it.
Nice.
I didn't finish it, but I still went to like, 2 years or so of it. So, and that, even just like, getting introduced to that world and really seeing like the behind the scenes of everything, it makes you view movies and like films and stuff just so differently. And it's
So
just
differently.
like, we're watching. Oh, I mean, like, because what like films did you do when you went to like film, like when you did like film stuff? Did you do like the whole like the Citizen Kane and like a few sort of like Bollywood
Yeah.
movies and all that kind of stuff, and they show you
Oh
like the
yeah.
representation of the shadows and that sort of thing? Like, because that's what
Oh
we
yeah.
had.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I loved the theory side of it, actually. I loved like looking into the psychology of the socioeconomic climates at the time that the films came out, and like the
Mm.
impact of the war on certain themes of fear and death that you see in those old like silent films and stuff. I found that really interesting. But yeah, we looked at everything too. We looked at like, we did a subject called sex society in the movies too, which was super interesting. So that was like
Okay.
Lars von Trier and everything, and
Yeah.
yeah, just a whole range of stuff. And I feel like even at the uni that I'm at now teaching, all the students' films are like really dark and twisted and
Yeah. Right.
sexualized, which is hilarious because you like look at these really innocent, like 17-year-old kids, and you're like, what is wrong? Like, what's happening
Yeah.
in your head for you to make this stuff? It's so dark. But I guess that's where
Yeah.
like the fun is. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess maybe they're trying to be like edgy or try and make it like that.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of, I went to a short film festival in like London or something, and it was really just, it was really independent, but like a lot of the films were the same sort of thing. Like it was more so that there wasn't like actors doing kind of stuff. It was more just like, objects in like, weird spaces with like weird camera angles and colors and stuff and sound effects, and that all kind of like molded together to try and make a story. And it was just like, wow, okay, this is kind of very, very different. But so many of them were like that. And then it just gets to the point where the music's just like so obviously loud that it just stops, and it's like at the end. And you're like, oh wow, okay. And it's just like, wow, okay, like this is different from the short films I watched in like university, but
Yeah, yeah.
it's some sort of creative like outlet that they're going down and that they're creating from. And it's like, okay, I don't
Mm.
know what it is, but in a sense, it is creative in a way, and it's awesome to see, I think anyway.
Yeah, totally. And music videos are so different too, because they're, you can be
Mm,
non-narrative and it doesn't really have to make sense because the song should speak for itself. And it's just
yeah.
kind of pointing out the emotional turning points that you want to feel in the song. That's why I love them. You can do anything. Full creative
Exactly.
license.
Especially when it comes to editing, because I'm always pretty like up on top of editing when it comes to like music videos and that sort of stuff. It's like, oh, I see something in a certain way. It's like, okay, I need to put this there, I need to put this here. Are you sort of, did you edit the Plastic Paradise one yourself, or did you sort of were you there to sort of like oversee how it was all going, or did you leave it in the hands of like the people who were in charge?
Well, I'd organized like the shot structure and the
Mm.
narrative that I wanted, and then
Yeah.
I kind of oversaw the edit, but definitely wasn't responsible for like any of the keying and the green screen. I think I keyed like 1 or 2 shots, and I was like,
Okay, right.
yay. Um, but yeah, like that was like literally almost 100 hours of work on the behalf of my colleagues who just were so committed and passionate about it, and I'm so grateful to them.
Yeah,
They
right.
did an incredible job. So yeah, I just oversaw that like it was telling the right story, and
Mm.
swapped a few shots here and there, and chose certain takes and whatever as a director does. But yeah, no, I had a really good editor in my friend Flynn. So yeah, that was good.
Fantastic, yeah. Editing is such a fun thing, and it's all it can really throw your mind after a while when you, especially when it comes to films, and you see like the camera cuts and the edits and that sort of stuff. I'm forever scarred watching parts of the Caribbean on Stranger Tides, I think it is. The day that we did editing in like our film class, and they were talking about camera cuts and how to count the cuts and whatever. There's a scene where I think like I don't know, Jack's on the edge of a cliff, and like I don't know, Bluebeard or Blackbeard's there with his daughter, who's played by Penelope Cruz, and they're doing like this back and forth thing between them. And I just started counting all the cuts, and I'm like, oh man, this is
Mm,
taking me so out of the story and just making me think of the camera guy and the editor and all that
true.
stuff. And it's like, oh man, that's insane. Like, it's so
It's a
cool when you
fine
sort of
line.
yeah, there's a fine line. It's cool. I mean, you love being in that world with those characters and everything else. But then when you sort of take that step back and you remember, oh yeah, some guy's filming this right now, or some woman's like cutting these together on a computer. It's like it's so great. And the same thing happens with music videos as well, because you can sort of see like, the cuts between each one and all that sort of stuff as well. It's such a great world that we can like, be a part of. It's like, the video world creating with the music world.
Hmm. Yeah, it's very cool. Very, very cool.
Because there's so many things that go into like your songs, so many instruments and like atmospheric tendencies and that sort of stuff. Do you write and play all the instruments yourself, or do you have like a parade of people who come in and play instruments for you, or that sort of thing? Or is this just like completely all on you?
Oh wow, it would be amazing to say that it was all on me, but absolutely not. I work and work with and hire producers.
Mm.
So the guy that I did Plastic Paradise with and Weightless, he's amazing. He's Yusuf Memon.
Hmm.
I always in my head say Yusuf Days. Definitely haven't worked with Yusuf Days.
Yeah, right.
If anyone knows him, no. But Yusuf, yeah, he was great. So we recorded a lot of stuff at Plutonium Studios, and the process was it's different with every producer, but our process was I went to his place.
Mm.
We talked about a few reference tracks. I showed him some like chords, some top lines I was thinking of.
Hmm.
A lot of like the little earwormy bits in the songs are initially just me vocalizing and recording it into my phone, and then
Yeah.
we just figure out like the right guitar, the right pedal, whatever to go with that sound.
Mm.
And then it's kind of that process of like, okay, what's missing, and we'll be playing around on synths or whatever, and just gradually build it. So that was our process with those 2 tracks. And
Hmm.
then we had some people come in and record some guitar parts, and the drums as well was done by my friend Bodie, and he did an awesome job on those. So yeah, that was pretty much it. We recorded those 2 songs over 3 days.
Oh wow.
I was in the
Okay.
studio for like 12 hours at a time doing vocals, which was rough because I just gotten
Oh.
over a cold.
Oh, that's the worst. Yeah,
I'm a
no, that's
bit
the
like,
worst, man. Yep. I feel
yeah,
that.
yeah.
There's nothing worse when there's nothing worse when you have a cold and you have like studio time booked as well. And you're like, oh
Yeah, pay
man,
for it.
like, yeah, I know. I had to cancel one when I was in London. That still lives with me to this day, and that really annoyed me. But like
Oh no.
sometimes that's like the vocalist curse, isn't it? It's like you try and get through it all, but it's like, yeah, it's just if it's not gonna work, it's not gonna work, sadly. But it's so
Hmm.
it's so good that you've got like, a cool team of people around you that you can like, go to record different parts of the songs and whatever, because you've been doing this for a while now, because your first song that I can see was on like 2019 or that sort of thing, because you had 2 songs
Yeah.
out that year. What didn't you?
Yeah, that was crazy. That was when I was finishing uni, and I met a friend of mine called Kent Tonchek, and he was like a bedroom producer and solo artist himself, and that was all like literally recorded in his place, in his home studio, and he
Wow.
played most of the parts. I was still learning a lot of like basic music theory at the time, so I wasn't quite there yet.
Mm.
But yeah, through that process, like I learned to communicate better with producers about what I want and the particular layers and influences and
Hmm.
like really identify what's missing and take control of my sound a bit more. But those, yeah, first ones that I did with Kent, I think turned out really well for someone who'd never, you know, kind of formally written or produced anything. And yeah, it was like one of Kent's first times, I think, releasing songs too. So that was really fun. So it's just been a
Fantastic.
different process with everyone. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I guess with different people that you work with, there's always a different sort of way that they do things compared to the way that you do things. But it's so good because then, like, you can always just see the transition of the songs through the years as it gets like, the most recent one. And,
Mm.
there's like little things you can spot that's like, oh, yeah, that's not like that. But like, oh, but that, it holds up the whole way through. I keep hitting my microphone, but it holds up the whole way through. And like, it's cool because you can see the progression over the years and like, the improvement, all the rest of it as well. And like, as I said, like the Weightless is yeah, it's a step up. It's even a step up from like Plastic Paradise, which is
Oh,
crazy to
thanks.
think because as I said, that song is awesome, but this song as well is just it's a different dynamic altogether. But it still just like adds a little bit more oomph, and it's just like yeah, I can see that this is like now another step further in like your creating
That's
and
really
everything, which
cool.
is fantastic to see.
Thanks. Yeah. I mean, with Weightless, I think musically that was the track Yusuf and I were most proud of.
Mm,
And Yusuf, yeah, really poured his heart and soul into this song, which was awesome. He was so passionate about it. And even before we recorded any of the lyrics, just listening through, there was that progression, and it did take you on
mm,
a journey. And I think we both were just wrapped that was how we felt at least. And yeah, you get that special moment when no one else has heard it. You're sitting in the studio, you know that you've kind of finished adding things
mm.
and it just is so magical hearing it out of those speakers and you're like,
Yeah.
oh, this is cool, this is really powerful. And then lyrics came on and then it was wrapped up in a bow, I guess.
Yeah, I'd love to talk to you about the lyrics actually. Like what's sort of the meaning behind the song? Like what was the story that you were sort of writing about for it?
Yeah, so I started writing this song actually years ago, and it was after a breakup. And I was driving somewhere in a car in the back seat. My friend's
Mm,
driving, and we were going towards, I think, like Surfers Paradise or something. And um, I was having all these nostalgic flashbacks of being in this place with this person that I used to be with. And I
mm,
just kind of realized all of a sudden that even though I was in the same city doing like the same kind of things, I just felt a million miles away. And I felt almost like I remember staring up at the dusk sky out of the car window and feeling like I was on like a different planet and that one was kind of floating away. So I
right.
had this sense of being like a little astronaut in the back of the car, like looking out the spaceship window almost. Um, and so it evolved from there and became something really about, yeah, that feeling that kind of comes over you all of a sudden after a breakup where you have regained your sense of independence again emotionally.
Mm,
And everything that once was really sad and hard to think about is now just nostalgic and feels like it was belonged to a different person and a different
mm,
identity. And then deeper than that, I guess we could say it goes into exploring the theme of time and the necessity of time in the process of healing that has to take
mm.
place for that to happen, and then
Yeah.
holding space for yourself to allow those new possibilities to excite you rather than make you feel afraid and just completely like letting go of
Yeah.
everything.
That's
Yeah.
so well put. Yeah, that's
Thanks.
fantastic. I mean, especially when it comes to like, the aspect of time and that sort of thing as well, because like it's one of those things, especially now, like I'm 28 now, but like time for me is just it's so fast now. Like things are just
Hmm.
flying past as quick as they've ever like flown past. And even people who are older than me just says, "Oh, just wait till you get up here." It's like, wait, what? It's going to be faster? You're kidding me? Like already, I'm just like, I mean, I spent like almost a whole year in London last year, and I've
Oh
been back
wow.
here now for almost 4 or 5 months, and it's just like, what the? That's insane, man. Like that just doesn't compute yet into my brain that that's happened. And I guess after
Mm.
like, relationships and that sort of stuff as well, I haven't really been in one for a while, but like when it comes to that sort of stuff, I feel like time really is the only healer because, it's if you're with someone for that long, you share all their interests, you share a bed sometimes, and you're seeing them obviously so often, communicating with them so often as well. So I guess when it comes to like breakups and stuff, time is the main like factor of the healing, and obviously people can help you out with that as well. But yeah, it's you've worded it so very very well, and no, it's great. It's good that it's something that's real personal to you as well, and that comes across a lot in the song too, that we can sort of hear as well. So
That's cool. Yeah, I'm glad. It was funny because I I released this song like I went through a breakup a few months ago, another one, and
Oh no, oh no.
yeah, another one.
So
I'm
there's
just
gonna be
living, so good.
so there's gonna be a waitlist part two very
Oh
soon.
my God. Actually, funnily enough, the next song I'm working on at the moment is called Falling. And I was like, huh,
Oh,
maybe the one after that will be like Face Plant.
it
Like
just
it's a
has to be a
progression.
person like on the ground just lying there, like that's it, I'm
Yeah.
done. That's that, it's over.
Finito. Um, but yeah, I think like I could still relate to it and I found a whole
Mm.
new meaning in it, which was really cool. And I had a friend who released a song around the same time called like On My Own, and it was about like feeling good on her own, and she'd actually just gone through a breakup even though she wrote the
Oh,
song before it happened. And
yeah.
we just had this meet up and we're like, this is so ironic. Hey, like we've written these songs about breakups before the breakup happened. Now it's happened and it's all relative and it's all slapping us back in the face with all the marketing, and we're like, oh, but no, it's cool. It's still relevant. So that's good. Hopefully means other people will relate too.
Oh no, absolutely. I'd also love to know, like, do you play your songs live and that sort of thing as well, or do you sort of tour, or is this mainly
Yeah.
like a solo thing? You do? Awesome. Tell me about that.
I would love to. I haven't toured yet, but I have done a couple of live shows, and I have another one coming up soon, which I'm allowed to announce soon.
Okay, cool.
And that will be in Brisbane.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, I would love to tour. I'd love to do like an East Coast tour. Obviously start locally, but then eventually I'd love to
Hmm.
get to Europe and go around there.
Oh
So yeah,
yeah. That'd be
I think
amazing.
I love connecting to people and I
Mm.
feel like really in my element when I'm on stage. And which surprisingly, because I used to be terrified of it
Yeah, you
as a
obviously said
kid,
before
and
that you were
like
very shy. So it's like it's
so
strange how like
shy.
sometimes the shy kids are the ones that end up being on the big stage and it's like, wow, how does that work? Like it's crazy, but that happens sometimes.
It's like a weird kind of survival mode thing that just takes over you. And it's like
Mm.
so cool and exciting and rare that you kind of, for me, it's like, oh, stuff being afraid. Cause like, not
Mm.
many people would get to do this. So it's just like, oh,
Yeah.
just be excited and love it and don't think about it, just do.
Mm.
So yeah, love performing. And I think that's as a performance kind of artist, I love to kind of move and like express myself on stage and express the lyrics and the meaning of the song in the physical sense as I perform, and I really want
Of
to
course.
explore that more, and I want to
Mm.
look at things like manner movement and flow movement and certain types of dance to really incorporate that and just be like, my goal is to be a true performance artist where I'm not in my ego on stage. I'm
Yeah.
just performing the song, like telling the story and
Yeah.
being the character for people to get something out of, rather than like the identity of one person
Mm.
consistently. So that's,
Absolutely.
yeah, something I'm really looking forward to. Yeah.
That's great. And it also gives the audience something else to think about as well. Because, I mean, the one thing that I always sort of see, especially if I see bands perform, is like, it's great to see like a lead vocalist jumping up and down and running from back and forth, all the rest of it, and the band playing. But it's also really cool when you have somebody that can kind of just like mesmerize the crowd or sort of just like, sort of not like sort of transcend themselves into like the song itself and sort of make it a bit more like a performance,
Mm,
rather than just trying to like get the crowd eagerly involved in everything. They just sort of sometimes that can happen. There was a band that I played with the other week that was Connections, and the lead vocalist of that band, there wasn't a lot of talking to the crowd or in between things or whatever, but she as well is a actor, performer, dancer, vocalist, all the rest of it. And she's able to sort of, again, on stage, just be able to move and flow in throughout the song. And the audience just sort of just sits there and just watches and they're just captivated by it. And so, yeah, I
mm,
think that in the same way, if that's something that you can also do, that's a great way to go about it, because I don't think bands always need to have to, try and really forcefully entertain or really talk heaps to the audience. They just have to sometimes, just really kind of do something that really suits them and really sort of they can really relate to, and ooze that out to the audience, and then they receive it and be like, yeah, they get sort of stuck in it. So I think that'd be incredible for you to do for sure.
yeah, yeah. No, I'm really excited about it. I love making people, like, it sounds really weird at first, but I'll explain. I
Of
love
course.
making people slightly uncomfortable by being really expressive and expressing the things that we don't in our
Mm.
day-to-day life, unless
Yeah.
you're like, I don't know, probably tripping on something. I don't know. But like, I think like really that's the way to heal the planet, is for everyone to just be more authentic, be more themselves, be as honest and raw as they can be, and for us to just accept that more. So I think when like that, it really is the purpose of art, is to like spread that message about expression and authenticity. So yeah, I think it's kind of cool when you see people going like, oh God, I couldn't do that. And then you're like, really? Could you though? What if you did? Like, what's the worst that can happen? Like, what? I don't know. Maybe you should skinny dip. Like,
yeah, exactly. Ask
for
the
example.
questions.
Like,
Yeah, ask those.
like,
Ask
what's
those
the worst that
difficult.
can happen?
Yeah, ask those difficult questions. I love doing that as well because it really does sort of throw you off balance, which is great because sometimes you need to be thrown off balance because sometimes you kind of just move through life in a straight line and nothing knocks you over and you just sort of you can't just get on with it and you get stuck in that sort of that passage of nothing really going on. And so sometimes when someone knocks you out the way or whatever, a lot of times people get mad about that. They're like, "Oh, what the hell? This happened to me today." And it's like, "Oh, well, maybe it should have happened to you today. Maybe you needed to get pushed off the sidewalk a little bit and sort of see how you reacted to that to then like get on with everything else." So like
Totally.
I kind of look at it that way as well sometimes because I mean, yeah, it's always good to have like little shifts and all that kind of thing to sort of like switch up, I guess, like the life and that kind of thing, and especially when it comes to performance and all that kind of stuff, like going on stage and just like expressing yourself and that sort of thing is you have to be incredibly comfortable with that. But even so, there's people who are incredibly comfortable with doing that, and you can tell straight away. You're like, oh man, this person's just like they've got everyone's just got their eyes on them, and it's just like, whoa, this is just they are very comfortable in their own skin, and they're comfortable doing performance in front of other people, which is fantastic. One last question I'd love to ask you before we finish off is your name OMRA. I'd love to know like how you came up with it and where it came from, because I've obviously have my own alias name Chasm. Ugh, my voice is going Chasm, but I'd love to know where you got your name from.
Yeah, sure. I love that name, by the way. Chasm's really cool as well.
Cheers.
It's like I feel like there's a lot of different like meanings and stuff you could extrapolate from that.
Mm.
Yeah, I wanted something that was so I came up with it when I was 14.
Cool.
And it's in all my little mood boards and stuff that you'll see like hiding under my bed. Yeah, but I just wanted something that was like really catchy and straightforward. Like at the time I was thinking of like Kesha, Lord, like those pop out names that are easier to remember. And I really liked Enya, but obviously Enya's taken.
Yes.
And I don't know, I just kind of liked the way that it sounded. I just found the right combination of letters that I liked, and yeah, it just resonated with me. I think the whole sound of it, and even like the and the ra, they're very kind of spiritual sounds that you could, put together. And sometimes like I kind of bullshit people. I'm like, yeah, like the universal vibration of peace, and ra, the god of the sun. And they're like, really? I'm like, no, it just sounds cool. But like, sure, if you want.
They won't know.
So, yeah.
They don't know. They won't know unless they start to study it. Well, OMRA, this has been so incredibly fantastic to talk to you today about all of your music, about obviously the new song Weightless, which is out now. So all my listeners, please do go listen to Weightless, listen to OMRA, and await the music video that will be very shortly released, which we're all very, very excited for. It's been wonderful to talk to you. I really love that a name that you came up with when you were 14 is now the name of your own solo music project that you are now doing in the near future. Like if that's not the dream, then I honestly don't know what is. So that's absolutely fantastic. And yes, I wish you all the very best in the rest of your music ventures, and I'm sure one day our paths will cross.
Yes, hopefully. Thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it. It's lovely to meet you. Thank you.
Thank you so much for tuning into the episode this week. I hope you enjoyed the conversation with OMRA and myself. Go check out her newest single, Weightless, give her a follow on the socials, and keep up to date with everything that she has going on. There are links in the description of this episode where you can find all of OMRA's music and videos and info on upcoming shows. As for myself, follow me on Instagram or YouTube at This Is Chasm, where you can find reels from my podcast episodes and even some extended clips. You can also keep up with the podcast on Spotify, as well as the Chasm Converses playlist, which features all the intro songs from all my guests thus far. Weightless has recently been added, so give it a follow and listen to support the podcast and the artists. And finally, please leave a rating and or review for the show wherever you listen to your podcasts. And I'll see you next week for a new episode with a new guest here on Chasm Converses.